Welcome back to the northwest of England. The towns and cities of this region were once the powerhouses that made Britain great. But in the post-war years, the region was marginalised and neglected. I personally visited the 20 places that received the most criticism online and in the media. This is part 2 of the worst places in the northwest of England. Number 15 is Blackburn. So we're staying in Lancashire. Blackburn is an industrial town of just over 120,000. A former textile mill town, like many towns in the region, Blackburn suffered from decline in the latter half of the 20th century. I was in Blackburn on a Saturday in August. It was a lovely day, but nobody seemed to be about, and the shutters were down on most of the buildings here along Bolton Road. Blackburn made headlines in the early 90s when riots kicked off between Indian and Pakistani Muslims, which was believed to have started when girls from one neighbourhood started dating guys from another. A few days later, Blackburn Rovers Football Club signed Alan Shearer for a British record fee, and the riots were forgotten. Bankrolled by local businessman Jack Walker, Blackburn enjoyed a period of success which peaked with them winning the Premier League in 1995. Blackburn Rovers were one of the founder members of the Football League and have played at Ewood Park since 1890. They currently play in the second tier of English football. The Empire Theatre harks back to the good old days when Blackburn was the weaving capital of the world. The youth zone here for something a bit more contemporary. In 2019, the I Live Here website named Blackburn amongst the top 10 worst places to live in Britain. One of the comments read, "Drug dealers, dull wasters, bums, gutter snipes, fallen women, young slappers and their steroid-pumped teenage boyfriend." To be honest, I don't get that from Blackburn myself. It's not the best place, but it's a long way off being the worst. I used to live just down the road from here actually, and I was in Blackburn a few times and the people I encountered were nothing but friendly. We're heading back to the town centre via the Banktop Street, which is full of barbers, takeaways and Euro convenience shops, and a mobility scooter shop as well, one of several in the town. Britain now has up to 400,000 mobility scooters on the streets, and with an ageing population you can see why mobility shops are one of the few profitable businesses on High Street. Anyway, this is the town. Paradise Street, what a load of rubbish. Yeah, it's not great on this area of town, is it? Lots of crap everywhere, basically. In the town proper, the huge theatre, King George's Hall, is getting a renovation. Blackburn town does get a bit of a bad rep, and I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it looks okay. You can see there's not many people about, but the buildings look quite nice. And then you've got Corporation Park, which has got a spectacular entrance, and inside we've got a pond and walkways, all that kind of thing. It's all quite nice and quite welcome on this warm summer's day. Sure, the town centre has a few streets like these, but they are the minority, and the older buildings, apart from the odd exception, they're fairly well maintained. This is Blackburn Town Hall. The council don't seem to be arranging much in the way of events. In fact, the only advert in the council notices was for drug and alcohol recovery. As usual, the post-war buildings, the mall and the shopping area are just the same as everywhere else, really. As for the public art, well, I'm sure someone likes it somewhere. Blackburn Market is the best shopping experience in the town. Loads of local produce and independent stalls, and thanks to a large Asian population in the town, plenty of places to grab a curry. There was one fella in Blackburn who was having an extremely good time. I'd love to play more for you, but YouTube will give me a copyright strike, so I'll just give you some highlights. The best part was nobody was taking any notice of him at all. Blackburn Cathedral is one of the newest cathedrals in the country, designated in 1951. #1 rated visitor attraction in all of Blackburn. We're just going to head outside of Wetherspoons, where the Birmingham City fans were enjoying their away day in the sun. A more modern part of the shopping area, and well, this almost wraps it up for Blackburn really. It's not a bad town, at least on the surface. The one topic that came up when I was researching was racial segregation. Around 75% of Blackburn is white British, 22% Asian and 1.5% mixed. It's said that the communities don't really mix, don't really integrate, and this seems to be a common theme across many northern towns, some of which will be later on in this video. One good thing I can say about Blackburn is it wasn't part of the 2001 and the 2011 rioting which took place across much of the north and beyond. Number 14 is Birkenhead. So we're leaving Lancashire now and heading back over to Merseyside. Coming out of the station at Hamilton Square, I didn't get the best first impression of the town. Birkenhead has a bit of a reputation as a ghost town, and I wanted to see if that was justified. So the town is on the Wirral Peninsula on the west bank of the River Mersey, directly opposite Liverpool, from which it's connected by road, rail and of course the ferry across the Mersey. Hamilton Square Gardens is arguably the nicest part of the town centre, surrounded by grand buildings such as the Town Hall. But Birkenhead was pretty agricultural until the paddle steamer made the town a bit more accessible, with the town experiencing a boom through the shipbuilding industry. There's not really a beach in Birkenhead, so it's just this sludge. Paul O'Grady, aka Lily Savage, is from the town, as is double Oscar winner Glenda Jackson. Sadly, the ferry terminal here had been closed since 2022, but is due to be open again any time now. From here to the town ran Europe's first street tramway, drawn by horses, and opened in 1860. Now closed, of course. Heading west from the ferry terminal then, and it really is like a ghost town. There's all this wasteland that people have just used as a dump. According to Times columnist Fraser Nelson, over half of the population of Birkenhead Central are unemployed, be that on sickness or unemployment benefits, although this is disputed by some locals. The town centre was really quiet on this sunny Saturday morning in summer. The local court was closed with the sign reading, "Due to building issues, this court is closed. If you are due to be in court, you will be contacted with a new date." I went to throw something in a bin and this squirrel jumped out of the bin and gave me a fright. Luckily the town was dead, so nobody saw it. Back down on the waterfront then, and I saw a sign for Birkenhead Promenade, and I went for a walk and yeah, that happened. A mutant seagull here was kicking and pecking an old bottle of Lucozade down the road. Birkenhead Priory is the oldest and arguably the nicest building in the town, a 12th century monastery that can be visited as part of a tour, or anyone can just wander in. One place you can't wander into is the dock, but you can sneakily poke your camera over the seawall. This part of town is actually pretty nice, it's just so quiet. Back at Hamilton Square Gardens, this memorial commemorates 88 soldiers that died in World War I that were pupils of Birkenhead Institute, one of whom was Wilfred Owen, whose poem Futility is inscribed on the statue. So we're back in the centre now, and sadly it hadn't changed in the hour or so that I'd been away. Still quiet, still lots of boarded up shops. Whoever put this sign here was having a laugh. The old Conway Secondary School is derelict and abandoned, along with other buildings on this street. Just look at the size and the beauty of this building. And then we have people sleeping rough. The Pyramids Shopping Centre opened in 1989, and let's just say it hasn't aged quite as well as the Pyramids of Giza. Amongst all the shuttered down shops here was even a vape shop. That's had to call it a day. That's how bad it's got. Birkenhead Market was okay, but a lot of stalls weren't in use. As I said, this is a Saturday in August. It was sunny. A Google review reads, "Birkenhead Market holds fond memories for me, but the decline of it, down to the incompetence of Wirral Borough Council, is a disgrace. This market used to be thriving. Now I'd say there's more life in a mortuary, which is a shame for the remaining stall holders." Other reviews use words like decimated, soulless, and, yep, ghost town. All these roadworks surely don't help. I mean, why drive into town and deal with all this crap when you can just get everything delivered? And this, what is this? Charles Thompson's Mission has been open since 1892, providing care and support to local people. Fenced off alleyways are always a sign of antisocial behaviour, although statistically Birkenhead doesn't have a particularly high crime rate. Through the town gates we reach Birkenhead's biggest park, called Birkenhead Park. This is the world's first publicly funded park, opened in 1847, and it's said that the designer of New York Central Park, Frederick Law Olmsted, visited here before creating America's most famous park. Here on Grange Road, it's pretty dire, mostly boarded up, although the 1930s Little Theatre is still going. Birkenhead has a regeneration scheme ongoing. The latest on this is that it's gone £12 million over budget, and it's taken a year longer than it is supposed to. This is the Birkenhead Central Library, which was pretty grand. Just a shame about the surrounding area. The local football team is Tranmere Rovers, who play at Prenton Park and compete in the 4th tier. There's a few murals around the grounds, and my particular favourite is one of 72-year-old Tranmere fan Charlie Lindsay, who'd got so fed up of the opposition goalkeeper time wasting, he ran onto the pitch with his stick and smacked the keeper straight across the backside with it. For a time he was known as England's oldest hooligan. So that just about wraps it up for Birkenhead. On to the next place. Number 13 is Bolton. Yes, another Lancashire mill town. Well, it's not Lancashire anymore, but we'll get to that later. One of the first things you see coming out of the railway station is Trinity Court Church, converted to apartments, a load of rubbish, a gated university building, a ripped up advert for a caravan park, and more rubbish. A retail park on the edge of town, and crikey, it's not a great start, is it? Bolton is a big old town with a population of about 185,000. Traditionally part of Lancashire, as I said, but now swallowed up by Greater Manchester, being just 10 miles from Manchester itself. You want to know something mental? Well, if you search for Bolton Market on Google Maps, it gives you directions to Bolton Market in Karachi, Pakistan. Anyway, Bolton Market in England is much better than Birkenhead Market. I can't comment on whether it's better than the one in Karachi. The market sprawls out onto the street and it's much more pleasant shopping experience than most towns can offer, so kudos to Bolton for that. Elizabeth Park is, well, they call it a park, but there's not a lot of green space. It was a busy day around the combined court centre. At least it was for the defendants, the solicitors and the judges, etc. But seemingly not for the cleaners and the gardeners. It looks like they haven't done a day's work in quite some time. Once upon a time, all of this skyline would have been mills. Over 200 of them existed in Bolton's heyday. The last mill closed in the 1980s and they've either been repurposed or destroyed since. If you type in Bolton on your YouTube search bar, you'll get songs from Michael Bolton, the singer who, like Eric Morecambe, took his stage surname from his hometown. You'll also get Bolton Wanderers FC, but top of the list you'll get Bolton Fights and Drunken Antics. I watched 5 minutes of one of these videos and all I can say is it's like Phoenix Nights meets The Hills Have Eyes on ketamine. Let's just say I won't be going for a night out in Bolton anytime soon. But it's not all bad news. Look at this, Helter Skelter car park. Bonus points for Bolton. But almost a whole row of shuttered down shops here. Minus points for Bolton. One of the best things in Bolton is The Vaults, which is a Victorian basement that's been restored and sits under the Marketplace shopping centre. And yeah, don't worry mate, I've got the door, thanks anyway. The Vaults comprises of a cinema, an arcade, restaurants and bars and the overpriced cheeky chicken chips. And this is the Marketplace, which is a shopping centre rather than a marketplace. Well, it is a marketplace, but it's a shopping centre. You know what I mean. It's quite a nice one as well. Sadly, Bolton outside the shopping centre and the market don't really have that much to offer in terms of retail. Here we have Istan Bolton Shawarma Shop and the Turkish Barbers next door. And here we have a list of prohibited behaviours. No booze, no drugs, no antisocial behaviour, no begging. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but prohibited behaviours at least speak to people like human beings. Flippin' heck. The statue here is of Bolton's favourite son, Dr. Fred Dibner MBE. A steeplejack by trade, even in his day, Fred was a throwback who was subject to multiple TV shows and documentaries following his life as a steeplejack, which he followed up later in life making presentations on Britain's industrial history. The Grade 2 listed bank here is up for rent. Bolton has more than its fair share of boozers, like the 13th century inn here, and in Nelson Square you've got an Oasis-themed bar, Wetherspoons, Northern Way, The Level, or just Level, Northern Monkey, and more. St Peter's Church is a large church, and I even saw some tourists, or they might have been churchgoers. We make our way out to Bradshaw Gate, and this place is sad. Crompton Place shopping centre on the left hand side has been closed since 2018 and it's about to be bulldozed. To be honest, the whole of the street is a mess. It didn't take me by surprise whatsoever when this unmarked police car went by. This looks like a new building sat on top of a derelict one. This area is as depressingly post-war as it gets. The fella under the office buildings here was having a drink and he asked me if I had any change. Doesn't he know that these are prohibited behaviours? Bolton Town Hall was fenced off. I think they were gearing up for an event at the weekend. I'm glad to say there are no prohibited behaviours going on here. They have plenty of security to make sure of that. The cultural area of Bolton is actually really nice and stop staring at the camera, love, it's distracting. There's an art gallery, a museum, aquarium, the cobbled streets and this crescented sort of avenue. And this is known as Le Mans Crescent. The famous French racing town is Bolton's twin town. Just around the corner is the Octagon Theatre. This window display had models of Bolton back in the good old days. A local was telling me that this cinema no longer exists. And this is the 12th century pub from earlier. Bolton Wanderers known as the Trotters, are the football team of the town. Another founder member with a proud history with 4 FA Cup wins to their name. They currently play in the 3rd tier. Their stadium is bloody miles out of town, so I didn't bother visiting. The stadium is called Tough Sheet Stadium, which I thought was a condition you might have after eating the Bolton delicacy, the pasty barm. The pasty barm is a Cornish pasty inside a barm, otherwise known as a roll or a cob. Yeah, tough sheet indeed after eating that. Number 12 is Wigan. So just down the road actually from Bolton. It's still Greater Manchester and it's still formerly Lancashire. Wigan has a population of around 110,000 and it's roughly equidistant from Manchester and Liverpool. Like Bolton, it has its own delicacy, the Wigan kebab, which is a pie, usually a meat and potato pie, inside a buttered roll or a barm. Wigan is even home to the World Pie Eating Championships. There's 2 railway stations in Wigan, meaning it's very well connected. You've got Wigan Wallgate here and Wigan North Western. Trains go all over the place from Wigan. The town sat on one of Britain's richest coalfields, which meant Wigan became a very important town during the Industrial Revolution and was immortalised in George Orwell's book, The Road to Wigan Pier. Orwell's first impression on Wigan was, I came to Wigan early one afternoon and the first thing I noticed was the ugliness of the place. Well, I arrived 89 years later and my initial impression wasn't dissimilar. I headed straight down to the pier. When most people hear the word pier, they automatically think of the sea, naturally. But Wigan is inland and the so-called pier is on the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. The pier, in reality a wooden staith for loading coal, was demolished in 1929. The area nowadays has mostly been regenerated with apartments and office blocks, and you've still got some parts of the old industrial past still on display, like this old fan which would have been used to cool down the mines, sat here in the car park. The Trencherfield mill here was a cotton mill, now it's luxury apartments. But not every building in the area has been repurposed and some parts are pretty far from luxurious. Just around the corner from Trencherton, this is Eckersley Mill. But if you want to see it in this condition, you'll have to be quick. To add to the roller rink that's already there, planning is underway for a rooftop bar, food hall and 800 new homes. The idea for the development is that you're never going to have to go more than 10 minutes to get anywhere. So to go to the office, to go get your food, to go to the gym, it's all within 10 minutes of each other. A bit like these 15-minute cities. Quite a controversial idea. I know a lot of people are against this kind of thing. The cost of this regeneration plan is estimated to be around £250 million. I walked further along the canal, past Pier 2 and 3, where the legendary Wigan Pier nightclub used to stand. Massively popular in the 80s and 90s rave scene, the club closed for good in 2011 and was demolished a few years later. Further along the canal, it's a bit of a rubbish walk, literally. Eventually we reached the Brick Community Stadium, home of the Wigan Athletic football team and Wigan Warriors rugby league side. Wigan Warriors are the most successful rugby league team in England with 24 Super League and 21 Challenge Cup wins and are level with Sydney Roosters as the team that have won most World Club Challenges with 5 to their name. Wigan Athletic play in the 3rd tier, their most famous moment winning the FA Cup versus Manchester City in 2013. Here are some of their fans waiting for the coach to travel down to Luton for a game that evening. We'll leave the stadium behind then and the canal and we walk through some familiar looking red brick terraced housing and we're off to Mesnes Park. I think that's how you say it, no? Mesnes? Almost immediately I spot another abandoned mill. This is Pagefield Mill, which was later used as a college and has been a target of antisocial behaviour in recent years. Apparently in 2022, firefighters had to attend 91 times in a single year. In contrast, the rest of the park is pretty well maintained, despite the odd poorly punted football. Wigan Market was normal, but online reviews are pretty mixed, with most saying the market is not as good as it was and that Bolton market, for example, is better. They didn't actually specify if that was Bolton Market Karachi or Bolton Market Greater Manchester. I'm assuming it's the latter. The occupancy rate in the Royal Arcade looked a lot healthier, however, with plenty of places to get a bite to eat. Probably even a Wigan kebab with pea wet, if you're lucky. Pea wet, by the way, is liquid strained from mushy peas to add a bit of liquid to your stodgy Wigan kebab. Yummy. The Makinson Arcade started off really well, with most places occupied as a nice, light and airy space, but by the end of the arcade it changed, and sadly not for the better. Revitalising our town. £135 million is being invested into redeveloping Wigan Centre after the council bought the former Gallery shopping centre and demolished it. In its place, they plan to have a 6-screen cinema, music and esports venue, 10-lane bowling alley, indoor mini golf, food and drinks venues, evening entertainment space, a new hotel, 464 residential units, a new market hall, and a landscaped public realm square for annual outdoors events. Now, before I came to Wigan, I had read that it was severely run down, but so far, aside from the closed mills, it actually seemed okay. Well, that was until I arrived on King Street. Now, King Street is famous for its nightlife, or it was famous for its nightlife. Now, I would say about 90% of the buildings here are out of use. The only place I saw that looked like it might be open is this one, Sash Lounge. The rest was just empty buildings and dank alleyways. The quotes here with the hashtag Wigan's alright seem almost symbolic of King Street. Once alright, now knackered. Still got pies though. And kebabs. Wigan does have a couple of art galleries and a museum. Wigan Town Hall was built in 1903 as the Wigan Mining and Technical College and became the new Town Hall in 1990. It sits opposite the Leisure Centre and outside has a statue dedicated to the memory of Wigan miners. Around the corner from that is a Debenhams, closed down now of course. A 2nd century Roman bathhouse was discovered in the early 2000s when building started on the nearby shopping centre. Sadly, this isn't it, this is a recreation using a few of the original materials. The Grand Arcade Shopping Centre isn't especially grand, nor is it an arcade technically, but it is an adequate shopping centre on the site of the old Wigan Casino nightclub, another legendary nightclub in the town famous for its Northern Soul music, closed in 1981. Wigan does now have the Old Courts, however, which is a large bar and venue close to the All Saints Church. Unfortunately, this seems to be another part of town that, despite the impressive buildings, is underused and underappreciated. I wonder what wartime entertainer George Formby would have made of all this. Now, this is the first time that I've been to Wigan, but it seems to me that this town has really gone to the dogs in recent years. Proximity to Liverpool and Manchester, plus tons of retail parks on the outskirts, can't help. The lead singer of The Verve, Richard Ashcroft, who is from Wigan, once sang, "Like a cat in a bag, waiting to drown, this time I'm coming down." He was singing about drug addiction, of course. But he could well have been singing about the death of his hometown. He then goes on to a happier note, "I know I'll see your face again." Well, hopefully with all the investment coming, Wigan Town Centre may be thriving again. Now, I wasn't expecting the first thing I saw on a sunny Sunday morning in a Lidl car park to be a man playing the accordion. But here we are, in Paris. Number 11, Burnley. Yeah, I know, another former mill town, also in Lancashire, although at least this one still is in Lancashire, being 21 miles from Manchester. Burnley is a town of about 80,000, surrounded by the Pennines, sat on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, once one of the cotton-producing capitals of the world, and also on a large coalfield to boot. This is Colne Road in the north of Burnley, a bit of a scruffy introduction to the town. I saw a sign that said Elm Street on it, and I had to go and see what kind of nightmare might lie at the end of it. A caravan, some laughing gas, not mine by the way, dog poo, and some idiot waving into an algae-filled canal. Thankfully, no Freddy Kruegers. The mill on the left repurposed into a plastics factory, and this building repurposed into a mosque. Around 15% of Burnley's population is Asian. Offices to let. Burnley has some of the cheapest property prices in the country. Someone has used the canal as a tip here. A guy from the Czech Republic saw me filming here. We got chatting and he told me if the police see you littering over there, they beat you up with a baton and arrest you. Seems a little bit extreme, but he said it works as a deterrent. This is Thompson Park, and very nice it was too on this fine summer's day. The Prestige building here closed in 1997. This is on Colne Road. Lots of old buildings here left empty, and Burnley, it does have a few new ones as well, as we can see.
I've told him to come back, I've been here.
It was midday Sunday and the drinks were already flowing for these chaps. One of them clocked my camera and shouted after me. I've no idea what he said, but it didn't sound friendly. This was once a public toilet. The original sign said women, then it said ladies, and now it's halfway between and it reads woodies. The joke of the week here is brought to you by the Royal Dyche, named after gravel-voiced Sean Dyche, former manager of Burnley FC, who play at Turf Moor Stadium. Burnley are a founder member of the Football League. Currently they play in the Premier League. They've won the league twice, the FA Cup once, and are one of only 5 teams to have won all of England's top 4 divisions. For the size of the town, Burnley certainly punch above their weight in footballing terms. Burnley doesn't have a massive crime rate. It's above the Lancashire average. It did make a bit of a name for itself in the 2001 race riots. It also got higher levels of deprivation here than most parts of Lancashire. We're heading into the town centre here then, and it was quiet, but as I said, it was Sunday, so I can't really hold that against Burnley. Now, Burnley has 190 listed buildings in the town, and here in the town centre, oh, hello officers, the architecture here in the town centre isn't quite up to the standard of the listed buildings outside of it. I don't think I really need to talk much about the 1970s shopping area in the town centre. The images here pretty much speak for themselves. This is the main square in Charter Walk, name of the shopping centre, and this is the market hall, but this being a Sunday, it was closed. Reviews online say the market's okay, but it's more of a food court these days, and most people would rather go to Bury. Perhaps the most interesting part of the shopping centre is the sensory walkway and the happy to chat bench. Nice little community initiatives. There's a lot of boarded up places in Burnley, with someone sleeping in the doorway of this building. The 2 clubs here have shocking reviews. The one on the right, Project, had its licence revoked under the Prevention of Crime and Disorder and the Protection of Children from Harm. As we can see, this part of town is much more interesting than the centre. The Mechanics Theatre in the old Mechanics Institute building gets very good reviews, I'm sure. Sir Ian McKellen of Burnley would approve. The town hall was built in 1888. Queen Elizabeth II once visited and stood at the hall waving to citizens. If she'd done that today, her view would be of the derelict Chaddersley House. Apparently this is going to be converted into apartments at some point. The Weavers Triangle Museum here is a free local history museum right on the canal. Burnley has a large bus station in the town centre and three railway stations: Central, Barracks and Manchester Road, which is nearby where we are currently. Just around the corner on Trafalgar Street we find a plethora of old mills. This is Thorney Bank Mill here, which was repurposed as a gym until it looked like the building was going to collapse. Newtown Mill has just been redeveloped as a university campus and has been nominated for awards. Victoria Mill is already a part of the University of Lancashire. A view from the mill here gives an idea of what Burnley's skyline might have looked like in days gone by, perhaps with a little less chimneys and less smoke these days. Another good place to get a good view of the town is on top of the Ashfield Road viaduct on the left hand side here, which I'd done the previous day. Just for clarity, I've sped this up 3 times. This isn't actually how fast the train goes across the viaduct. And as impressive as this is, it's a little bit disappointing when you get off at Burnley Central Station and you see this. This is the Adelphi Hotel, which has been closed since 1997. I mean, come on, just knock it down already. Burnley's not a bad town. It's had a rough hand dealt to it, like most of the region. The people of Burnley have a lot of spirit, exemplified by the movie Bank of Dave, based on a true story about a local Burnley lad who opened a bank in Burnley, helping out his community in defiance to the greedy multinational banks based in London. Number 10 is Blackpool, somewhere that some may have ranked way higher on this list. It's Britain's most notorious seaside resort in all its dubious midsummer glory. Blackpool is a large Lancashire town of just over 140,000. The decline of the town has been well documented, but the rise was just as swift. In 1801, the town's population was less than 500. Then sea bathing became fashionable and the middle class arrived. Then the railways came in 1856 and everyone arrived. The working class holiday resort of generations of hard workers from many of the other towns featured in this video. Sadly, the good times couldn't last. Package holidays abroad became affordable to everyone, and no matter how many facilities Blackpool might have, it can't offer year-round guaranteed sunshine. However, despite its reputation for high crime, violence, homelessness, drug and alcohol abuse, Blackpool still attracts more than 20 million tourists a year. Blackpool has not one, not two, but 3 piers. This is the North Pier. This is the older, more mature one, hosting Roy Chubby Brown, and it's home of Sooty. If you're lazy or bored, you can get the train to the end. I just walked. It's only 500 metres long, and it's got a Prosecco bar at the end. It's worth a walk down just for the views of the beach, the Irish Sea and the tower here. Central Pier is the noisy pier for fast food and fairground rides. And the last one is the South Pier, which is the smallest of the 3 piers, but still got lots going on, including the bungee ball. Blackpool Tower was inspired by the Eiffel Tower. When it was completed in 1894, it was the tallest building in all of the British Empire. Blackpool has more arcades than any other town in Britain. It's got the Sea Life Centre, it's got the Pleasure Beach, it's got horses and the Winter Gardens. But you know all of this already, don't you? It's Blackpool, everyone knows what the crack is. So let's go and see what the real Blackpool's like, warts and all. Within half an hour of arriving into Blackpool, I'd already seen my first homeless couple sleeping next to the bins on the promenade, while a curious child is pulled away by her parents. Some of the homelessness is a bit better hidden in Blackpool, some of it is not. Behind the Golden Mile, regeneration is taking place. £300 million has been pledged, a multi-storey car park has been completed, and a Multiversity and a leisure complex are on the way. The Yates's pub is now being demolished after closing in 2022, and an Art Deco hotel will take its place. I'm not sure what's happening with the Blue Waves Hotel. It was time then to hit the back streets. This is Bond Street, which is one street back from the South Promenade, and honestly, what a disaster. Just about everything, apart from a chippy, was closed down on this street. Dank alleyways that stunk of urine, and a whole building missing here. I can only assume that there are squatters staying in this place. Councillors are there if you need them. They'll have their work cut out on Bond Street, that's for sure. Maybe the football team could cheer them up. Blackpool FC, known as the Tangerines, play at Bloomfield Road. They're currently in the third tier of the English football pyramid, their most famous moment being the FA Cup win of 1953, the so-called Matthews final. Donna's Dream House is a charity that offers free holiday experiences for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families, run purely on the generosity of donors and volunteers. Excellent stuff. After a long day of promenading, the horses are off home for a rest, but we continue along Central Drive, which should just be renamed Central Dive. It's just an absolute mess. Just a reminder at this point that Britain is the 6th largest economy in the world. Turning the corner into Albert Road and Pound Stretcher and Argos that were on the left hand side, both long gone. On the right hand side of this street we have wall-to-wall guest houses. The town centre, however, is far from a complete write-off. There's modern areas too, and it's bustling, as you can see, on a sunny day. On the left here is the cinema, and to the right is the Winter Gardens. We've got a nice open space here and some public art. Helms Hill Shopping Centre seemed light and modern. Poundland wasn't quite so modern, but hey, it's Poundland. This is Charles Street, which will soon be getting flattened to make way for the Multiversity. A multiversity, by the way, is like a university, but does more stuff. That's my understanding of it anyway. I'm not sure what will happen with streets like these. Will they be redeveloped? Are they hoping that students will come and occupy them? In the shadow of Blackpool Tower, someone was sleeping off their excesses. I'm not quite sure how they managed it, because next to them on the comedy carpet were rehearsals going on for an international hip-hop dancing tournament, which was going on in the Winter Gardens in the coming days. That wasn't the strangest sleeping arrangement that I saw in Blackpool though, and that makes me hurt just looking at it. And I reckon these two must have been pretty sore the next day as well. To prove that I stop at nothing in my journalistic research, I went the following day for a pint in one of the top-rated Wetherspoons in the country, the Velvet Coaster. Very nice view too. I'll still say it's not as good as the one in Ramsgate. I went on the trams, very good value. Then I hit the back streets once again. It's estimated that there are 1,500 homes empty in Blackpool. These become magnets for squatters and vandals. We've already seen quite a few homeless folk. Empty homes, yet homeless people. The system is broken, or maybe the people are. This street is completely empty, yet it's gated up with a security code. On the bright side, I did see the first tree that I've seen in Blackpool. Now seriously, if you ever go to Blackpool, there's no trees there. Continuing the professional journalism, I went to the Talbot, famously the first reform pub in Britain. It was how you'd expect it to be, patriotic, I didn't hear much in the way of political conversations, and believe me, I did eavesdrop. There were a couple of young fellas slagging off Keir Starmer, but let's be honest, you could hear that in any pub up and down the country these days. Through yet more terrible streets, and seriously, this is like what you see on news coverage of war zones. My next quest was to try out the £1 burgers. Yes, they got £1 burgers in Blackpool. It's not just burgers they do, you've got spam bombs and hot dogs and the like as well. The queue was pretty long and it took me about 10 minutes to get to the front of it, so I hoped it was going to be worth it, and I'll tell you what, it most definitely was. I've had much worse. Even if I did have to eat it amongst these less than salubrious surroundings. That evening, the old Bill were attending to something at a casino, and there was a beautiful sunset at the beach. The hip-hop kids from the Netherlands were enjoying themselves on the tram, and all was good on this summer's evening in Blackpool. It's a fun place, but with a hell of a lot of deeply entrenched problems, and it's going to take a huge effort to overcome them. Number 9, Barrow-in-Furness, home of legendary footballer Emlyn Hughes, and probably the most isolated town in northwest England. Way out in southwest Cumbria on the Furness Peninsula, miles from the nearest motorway and almost an hour by train to the next large station, Lancaster. Still, at least the Lake District isn't far away. For most of the world, the Cold War ending was a good thing. Not for the people of Barrow. Many people in Barrow worked for the Ministry of Defence, and as soon as we didn't need as many of the nuclear submarines that were built here, the government cut spending without a thought. Between 1990 and 1995, the shipyard's workforce had more than halved and unemployment more than doubled. Barrow hasn't really recovered and its population has been in decline since. However, BAE systems used by the Ministry of Defence still have the largest shipyard in Barrow, and it still dominates the economy of the town. Energy is also a large industry in Barrow, provided in part by the second largest offshore wind farm in the world in nearby Walney. At the start of the 20th century, Barrow had the largest steelworks on the planet. These closed in 1963. The Gothic Barrow Town Hall, built in 1887, is by far the grandest building in the town. There's even a handy clock that tells us it's 9:40 there, and it says the market is open at 9, but the door is closed. But it says it's open for business, but it says the market is this way. Well, that's confusing. I guess they don't get many visitors. And, well, you can see why. There's not much of anything here, you certainly wouldn't make a special trip to visit it. The most recent Google review reads, "Sadly, there is no Barrow market anymore, but in its day it was a great market. We used to have an outdoor market, a meat market and a fish market. All gone now." And even when you get out to the other side, it's no better. Dave Myers of the Hairy Bikers was from Barrow. He sadly passed away in 2024. Barrow has that similar sort of ghost town feel to it that I experienced in Birkenhead. As we cross over the Devonshire dock, we can see quite a lot of port activity going on. We now arrive into Barrow Island, known locally as Baz Eye. Now this might look like it has a bit of a Scottish feel, and with good reason. Scottish and Irish folk made up most of the residents here from the 19th century. And most of the streets are named after Scottish towns. These days the area is now guarded by the neighbourhood cats. According to some sources, this area is among the top 3% most deprived in all of Britain. The local library made national news in 2018 after not a single book was loaned out in a whole year. And one sensational tabloid reads that the life expectancy here is the same as Syria, and locals despair at the amount of rubbish on the streets and are afraid to go out at night. The island is home to the Barrow shipyard, which is owned by the aforementioned BAE Systems. It's quite difficult to give the scale of the shipyard on camera, but trust me, it's huge. Further along here we reach the Jubilee Bridge, which takes us over for a quick look at Walney Island. Next stop after Walney Island, due west for about 49 miles, is the Isle of Man. Back across to Barrow, and as we look down from the bridge into the Walney Channel, we can see oil floating on the surface of the water. It's been a bit of a running joke, all the shopping trolleys that I've seen in rivers on this journey across Britain, but I've never seen anything like this. This looks like an environmental disaster. Back in Barrow then, and the Dock Museum looks quite interesting, and they even had an exhibition on Dave Myers. Opposite the Dock Museum, there's a retail park here next to the Rugby League ground. And these are the working class streets of Barrow. Average house prices around here about £70,000 to £75,000. Willie Horne, yes, haha, very funny, was born in Barrow. He played rugby league for Barrow and England in the 40s and 50s and is considered to be one of the best players of his era. St James the Great Church here, and I'm not sure what the deal with these things was. To escape the rain? I don't know. Look like coffins to me. Yet another neighbourhood watch cat. There's a few more modern homes on the way to Barrow AFC, who play at Holker Street. They've been in the fourth tier of English football since 2021, after a 49-year absence at that level. Furness Abbey dates back over 900 years, and it's well worth a look on your way out of the town. We, however, are not on our way out of the town. Oh no, we've a little more to explore. Barrow-in-Furness, in its Victorian heyday, once had the most aristocrats per capita of any town, and in 2023, by contrast, it was named the most working class town in Britain, based on the amount of chippies, working men's clubs and bookies per person. Similar to Blackpool, there's a lack of trees and a lot of neglect, but we do at least have Barrow Park, which is very well maintained. Here on Abbey Road we've got a couple more closed down businesses, as well as this learning centre for young people, unfortunately, also closed down. Generally, the shopping area in the town centre has quite a lot of boarded up areas, unfortunately, but at least here the boards are colourful and have got information about the town. But is it me, or does Thomas the Tank Engine look evil here? The Spirit of Barrow statue depicts 4 shipyard workers from different eras. More boarded up shops, and well, I think you're getting the picture here, folks. Barrow is unfortunate in that when the government decided it wasn't particularly useful to them anymore, at least not as useful as it was, they decided just to drop it like a hot potato. And due to Barrow's isolation, it's not like the townspeople can just get jobs in the next town along. However, in this time of potential war and talk of conscription into the armed forces, something that could be terrible for most of us, could revive the town of Barrow. Already, BAE Systems are being commissioned to build 12 new attack submarines. Now, I certainly hope Barrow gets back on its feet, but I just hope it doesn't require such extreme circumstances.